Man United's total debt, Gab, has now reportedly passed the £1 billion mark. Is this a big deal?
It's a big deal because it's a big number, and when you've got a lot of debt, you need to service that debt. And in United's case, they're servicing the debt because by which they wouldn't necessarily need to if they hadn't made certain choices beforehand. It's no different from what we saw before about the way this club has been run over the years, and United fans know why. What I struggle with, again, though, is when there are people who organize protests and so on. We saw one recently. But I don't understand why they don't get bigger numbers. I mean, it's one of those mysteries. I don't know.
What do you mean bigger numbers?
Okay, so Valencia, right, have a similar situation with an owner that they don't like, and Peter Lim, right?
Yeah.
What do? There's a game at the Mestalla. They tell everybody, okay.
Oh, in terms of the fan protest?
Yeah, we're not going to go in until the 20th minute, right? And so there's an empty stadium. There's 50,000 angry Valencia fans outside the stadium, right? Yeah. That has an impact.
Yeah.
At Old Trafford, these poor guys from whatever, I forget the name, but it's a date, right? They say, okay, everybody, we're not going to do anything during the game. We want to support the team. Everybody, after the final whistle, let's all go down, gather near the corner flag, and it's one stand, and let's sing, we want Glazers out, right? Mm-hmm. Great, right? 70,000 people at Old Trafford. I think from reports, I wasn't there, they got between 5,000 and 10,000, right? So if I look at that, if I'm a Glazer, I'm like, all right, well, you don't even have the support of the majority of match-going fans, right? This is the part I really don't understand. And
see, but fans' loyalty is a hard one.
It feels like there's a real hardcore that are really committed to this, and a bunch of people who's like, I don't like the Glazers, but then the Qataris could be worse.
If fans' loyalty is always to their football club because they love them, and I speak from experience, probably about 4 or 5 years ago when Newcastle fans were thinking about protesting to Mike Ashley, and they sort of had this conversation up on Tyneside where they were going to abandon a Premier League game. And they said, no one go to this Premier League game, which would have been some statement at home, St. James's Park. They couldn't do it. They literally said...
Why? Because people don't care enough?
No, they care too much. So the Newcastle fans couldn't bring themselves not to go to the Newcastle game. They couldn't do it because they love the football club so much. They ended up going. So a fan's loyalty...
But this is what I really struggle. No, and you had the same thing years before with when Freddie Shepherd was going and actually dissing the actual fans. You remember that, right? And nothing happens, right?
No.
I just think it's extremely odd. I just view the person who owns a football club, he doesn't actually own it. As I like to mention, I think it was Patek Philippe.
So how do they get out of this billion then?
No, the person who owns a football club doesn't actually own it. They simply look after it for another generation.
Custodians.
They're custodians. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And so, you actually, I don't know.
But how much can they afford, not afford in terms of money, to keep running £1 billion mark, £2 billion mark, £3 billion? It's ludicrous, no?
I think there's different elements to it, right? Some of it is still left over, I believe, from when the Glazers bought the club, where obviously they borrowed money and then put the debt onto United. Some of it is transfer payments, which are paying in installments over time. I think they have a lot of latitude. I think they'd have no trouble borrowing more money if they need to, because United's such a strong brand, and that's the reality situation they're in.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.